Howdy, lovely people. My colleagues and I are here today to give you a brief product review on menstrual cups. So whether you have never used one, or if you're curious about them, or thinking about purchasing one, or if you've never even heard of them, keep watching our video because I'm sure that we'll be able to give you a bit of valuable insight.
My name is Natalie, and I've been using a menstrual cup for 5 years.
My name is Kareana, and I've been using a menstrual cup for about 5 years.
My name is Meaghan, and I'm completely new to the world of menstrual cups. I've never used one before, so I'm going to do a bit of research and order one, and I'll let you know how it goes.
So what initially drew me to the menstrual cup was the fact that I was able to sleep with it in. Before I ever used the Diva Cup, I was always so uncomfortable when I would sleep on my period because I was too afraid to sleep with tampons in because I was afraid of TSS, toxic shock syndrome, and then I would have to sleep with this big huge maxi pads on, which basically made me feel like I was a little kid sleeping in a diaper. So the fact that I was able to sleep with the Diva Cup in, there were no toxins or chemicals that made me fear TSS, and it was just super comfortable for me to sleep in. That's what really drew me to it, and that's the thing that I still love the most about the Diva Cup today. So the other thing that drew me to the Diva Cup was how much money I would be saving if I did purchase the Diva Cup. And it's estimated that people spend about $70 a year on period products. So anything between tampons, liners, pads, things like that. And this is if your period lasts about 5 days on average, if you're using maybe 4 to 5 tampons a day, plus a couple liners. And this is to me, this is a low estimate. So I probably would be spending a little more. Not to mention how much you'd have to spend on finding period products that actually work for your body. Sometimes you need smaller tampons, sometimes you need larger ones. So it really just depends on what works out for your body. The menstrual cup, or the Diva Cup specifically, is about, I think, $40 or so, tax included, that you can find at Walmart or a local drugstore or something like that. So you're already saving just in 1 year a difference between $40 and $70, and then the Diva Cup or menstrual cup can last you up to about 10 years total if you take good care of it.
Honestly, it really comes down to the fact that I can be very lazy, and this is especially true when I'm on my period, because the last thing that I want to be doing is worrying about, when is the last time I went to the bathroom? Should I be running to the bathroom to change my feminine hygiene product? Like, I don't want to worry about that when I'm already not feeling well. So the menstrual cup is just great because it completely takes away that need to be like keeping that in the back of your mind. I can honestly tell you that I have never, not once, leaked with my cup, and I have definitely tested the limits, so much so that I now know that because my flow is pretty light, I can actually go a solid 2 days without changing my cup, and that probably sounds bad, but I haven't had any dire consequences, and it hasn't been at the expense of any of my panties.
What draws me to a menstrual cup and makes me interested in trying one out is the cost, for sure. It kind of sucks to have to buy a new box of tampons every period, and also creating all that waste. So in terms of environmental benefit, a menstrual cup seems like a really good option for me.
I personally use the Diva Cup, and the reason I decided to use the Diva Cup honestly came down to the fact that it was the most easily accessible to me. Like, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the drugstore, you can go to Walmart, and you'll see a Diva Cup on the shelf in the feminine hygiene products section. Now, I currently have 2. They come in these little baggies, and it's convenient that I have 2 because I can show you both of them. And you'll notice that they're a bit different because I cut the stem off of this one, whereas this one still has its full stem. So this was the first Diva Cup that I used, and the reason I cut the stem off of it was because when I inserted it, I think I didn't put it in far enough, like I didn't shove it up there, and so I honestly felt like I could feel this stem whenever I walked around, and I was very paranoid about it. I obviously didn't cut this one stem off because then I got more comfortable with using the cup, and I realized, no, I just really have to like shove it up there and then it's fine. But yeah, you you can personalize the experience a little bit and cater it to your body a little bit more.
So my cup came in the mail. I got the Salt brand soft menstrual cup. And I got the regular size. So they have on the back, as you can see, there's a regular and a small, and I got the regular one. The way that I settled on which cup to get was there was a quiz on the website Put a Cup in It. I can link it up here and in the description. And it was really comprehensive. It asked a lot of questions about my flow, what my periods are like, my activity level, as well as questions about like the height of my cervix and things like that. It'll tell you how to figure out those kinds of things on the website. And after I finished that quiz, it gave me a few suggestions of things to try. And the Salt Soft Cup was the one that I settled on. So Salt makes, I guess, regular softness cups as well as this one that's softer. So the silicone itself is more, I guess, pliable, so it's really easy to squish, and I thought that would be good for me. As someone who's never used a menstrual cup before, I was a little bit worried about the kind of stiffer silicones and making sure that it would be able to fold up enough to fit it in comfortably. So I picked this one, and it seems really good.
So this is my second Diva Cup I've ever owned. And the reason that I have a second one already in 5 years is because I don't think I really properly took care of the first one, and there was some extreme discoloration, and I was just getting a general sense that I probably should buy a new one and change it up. So I'll show you what the actual Diva Cup looks like. Just so you know, this does have some discoloration because I've been using it for about 1.5 years now. Obviously this is going inside your body all the time, so of course there's going to be some discoloration. So it just looks like this. And this is the second size. So basically when Diva Cup first came out with their products, they had two sizes, the 1 and the 2. The 1 being smaller, 2 being larger. And so instead of coming out with a 3, they came out with a 0, which is even smaller than the first size. So in order to choose the size that works best for your body, some things they have you consider are your age, and so where you're at developmentally, if you've given birth before, vaginally or not. So they ask you to consider a few things just about the general shape, size, and wear of your vagina, if you're sexually active, things like that. So I purchased the 1. So this size is good for me. I could maybe go to the size down, but this cup has always been a good fit for me.
Alright, so I have a bit of an update on the Salt Soft Cup. I tried it, and I was having a lot of trouble getting it to actually insert. So I was folding it up like this, kind of, and trying to insert it, but it really wasn't working for me. I was having some trouble with that. So I talked to Nat and Kareana and got some tips from them, and they mentioned that I should try maybe using it in the shower. So I'm gonna try that, and I'll let you know how it goes.
So there are a couple methods that they teach you to use. One is so that you take one end of it, you fold it in, and you curl it just like this. So it creates this kind of double, this sort of U shape. For me, I choose to use the method where you hold like this, and then one side goes down all the way, and then it creates a bit of a fold like this. And then you're able to insert it this way.
So I have my cup here, so I'll just show you. Like when I put mine in, I fold it in half, because how would you put this? Like you can't. So I fold it in half, and then I stick it up. And then sometimes like it doesn't necessarily just open up on its own once you've inserted it. And so sometimes what you have to do is like twist this part of it, like with your 2 fingers, once it's inside of you, just twist it around, and then you'll actually feel it kind of open up. And then to double check that it's done that, especially your first couple times after putting it in, you can kind of just like, when it's inside of you, you'll kind of like feel around the whole cup and make sure that it's properly sealed against the walls of your vagina.
I would also suggest either changing it in the shower or wetting the Diva Cup before you use it. Just helps to keep things a little bit easier to put in. As you know, sometimes dry tampons or anything dry going into your vagina can be quite painful or uncomfortable. So I would always recommend wetting it beforehand or changing it in the shower if that's most comfortable for you. One thing I would say is that you have to really be comfortable with your body. You have to be okay to touch yourself and to sort things out down there to make sure that you feel comfortable with yourself, because that's ultimately the most important thing. If you're uncomfortable, don't push yourself. Don't try to do something that you just genuinely feel uncomfortable doing. That's fine too.
Definitely be open to like taking off your pants. That way you can totally just like open up yourself. And what I mean by this is whether you have to put your foot up on the bathtub or if you have to put your foot up on the countertop, do that and really just give yourself like open access, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to kind of get the angle that you need and not be fighting yourself ultimately. And then the last thing I've noticed actually is that my cup goes in and comes out much easier after I've masturbated or had sexual intercourse. So ultimately, like the biggest tip, and I probably should have opened with this, is just relax your body. Whatever you need to do to relax. If you can't get it in and you're struggling and you're trying to force it up there, take a break. Give yourself like 5 minutes, because you're gonna get frustrated and then like angsty that you can't get it in. If your muscles aren't relaxed, it's gonna make it much harder to put the cup in.
All right, so it has been a few days since I tried the menstrual cup for the first time, and honestly, I didn't have a great experience, unfortunately. So last time I checked in with you, I let you know that I was going to try it out in the shower and see if that kind of helped with the insertion, and it did, which was awesome. And I was able to get the cup in, and I thought, like, this is fantastic, I'm so excited. But as soon as I did get the cup in, my body had a really kind of negative reaction to it. So as soon as the cup was inserted inside, I actually wasn't able to also get my finger in there to check and make sure that it was fully opened and that the seal was working. There just kind of wasn't enough room. But as soon as I got the cup in there, I started to feel kind of nauseous and a little bit queasy. And I started to get like really lightheaded and a little bit shaky. And after maybe like 10 seconds or so, my legs kind of collapsed, and I felt like I was gonna pass out. So I was like, okay, this isn't working for me, let's just take it out. So I took it out, and I started to feel better like right away. So I kind of took that as a sign from my body that this maybe isn't for me, and that's okay. I think something that might have contributed to my body having that reaction is that I am not typically even a big tampon user. I usually for my periods use pads. I do use tampons sometimes, but for the most part I'm more comfortable with pads. And thinking back to the first time I ever used a tampon when I was about 13 or 14, I do remember actually having a similar kind of nauseous feeling the first time I ever inserted a tampon. So I'm wondering if it was maybe kind of a reaction of shock, and if it kind of would get better after trying it a few times. Honestly, I'm at a point where I had a bad experience and don't feel super excited to try the menstrual cup right away again, but I'm definitely going to hold on to it. I think down the road I might try it again at some point, because I did get more comfortable with tampons after trying them over some time. But overall, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how maybe the menstrual cup just isn't for me, and that's okay, and that might be the experience of someone else. So I wanted to share what happened for me, because I wanted to kind of normalize that not everyone is necessarily going to have this amazing, fantastic, like groundbreaking experience with a menstrual cup the first time you try it or ever. And it is, I mean, periods are something that are really unique. Everyone has a different experience with their period. And if the menstrual cup is something that you've tried and that doesn't work for you, then that's perfectly fine. And people are going to have different reactions to different things. And if you think that the menstrual cup is something that probably won't work for you, that's fine too, and you don't have to try it by any means. So I just wanted to normalize that a little bit, because I know that I've seen, at least on YouTube and on the internet, different places, people usually tend to talk about their stories with menstrual cups when they're good. So I wanted to kind of add to the mix and share my experience a little bit with that.
Okay, so one question that I often get about using the Diva Cup is, how often do I change the cup? So they recommend that you change it, or you can keep it in for up to 12 hours. I personally use right up to the 12 hours. So what I do is I will take a shower in the morning, or just change it in the morning, go through it my whole day, and then I'll take a shower or just change it in the evening, and then have it nice and clean for the night. So I suggest changing it in the shower. I personally find that's the easiest and the most accessible. I think especially if you're in a public washroom or something, that can be a little bit difficult. So if you have an opportunity to change it in the shower and that is something you have access to, I would definitely recommend doing that. If not, you can always just rinse it off in the sink, or if you're sort of in a pinch, you can even just empty it, wipe it with some toilet paper or paper towel or whatever, and put it back in until you have a chance to wash it or give it a rinse another time. So I change mine, I suppose I could say 1 to 2 times a day. I think that's fairly average for most folks, but it also depends on how heavy your flow is. If it's in there comfortably, sometimes I put it in, I go for an hour, and then I realize I don't think this is in quite right. If I'm experiencing some leaking, or if I'm feeling it if I just feel it, then I know that I haven't put it in quite right. So consider that as well, because it might not necessarily be in properly, and that will allow you to, you'll have to change it or adjust it a little bit as you go on. So yeah, about 1 to 2 times per day, I think, is the most reasonable. And then another question that we have gotten is, how do you clean your menstrual cup? So I personally, when I first bought the menstrual cup, I wanted to just make sure that I was doing the most that I could have done to take care of it and to take care of my own body. So that's why I actually purchased the Diva Wash. So you can get this just also like at a Walmart or drugstore or whatever. It's vegan and no animal testing or anything like that. It's ideal for sensitive skin, and there's no chemicals or it's scent free. So this I knew was going to be something that was safe to put in my body, and if I'm going to be inserting in and out something into my body for a week every month, I wanted to make sure that I had something that was going to keep me clean and keep me safe, because that is ultimately the most important thing. So you by no means need to actually purchase this particular brand, but to get a scent-free and one that has no chemicals or anything like that is super important, because you want to be taking care of your body in the best way possible. And then of course they recommend that you boil the Diva Cup to ensure that you're keeping the germs and bacteria away from your Diva Cup, away from your vagina. Again, just for health and safety reasons, it's super important to do that as well.
I've had my IUD for about a year now, and the only time at which I did not use the menstrual cup while menstruating was after the first month that I got it inserted. I'm pretty sure that was the window of time. They'll tell, if you get an IUD or you have an IUD, they usually tell you like, hey, you can't put in a menstrual cup or a tampon for this amount of time. Definitely listen to that. But ever since then, I've been using the menstrual cup whenever I'm on my period, and it's always been fine. There's really nothing else to say. I've not noticed, any additional discomfort. It's not like the suction of the cup has pulled out my IUD or anything like that. So yeah, not to worry. If you have an IUD, the menstrual cup is IUD friendly, just not for like that first month. But after that, you're good to go.
So despite the fact that this video is about menstrual cups, because it didn't really work out for me, I did want to share a couple of options for different products that you might want to use if a menstrual cup doesn't particularly work for you, or you haven't tried it but you don't think it might work for you. but you are drawn to some of the benefits of a menstrual cup that we've talked about in this video, like the benefit of cost, where you buy one thing and use it over and over again instead of buying like a box of tampons every period. Or if you're interested in the sustainability aspect, where you don't want to be using these kind of single-use products and creating all this waste. So a couple of options that I have come across are one, reusable pads. I won't show you mine right now because it is a little stained, but I'll insert a picture up here. And reusable pads are basically what they sound like. They're made of fabric. At least the one I have has like a little snap at the bottom, so that you can attach that underneath kind of the bottom of your underwear, where you would use the adhesive wings on a single-use pad. I found that it's really great, honestly. There are different sizes that you can get for, you know, different days of your period when you have a different flow. And I've had really positive experiences with that. Another thing that I've seen some of my friends use is the period underwear that has almost like a reusable pad built into it. And that will kind of absorb the menstrual blood. And then for both of those types of products, you just rinse them out when you're done using them, and throw them in the wash to get the blood out. And I've had really good experiences with those. So just because a menstrual cup doesn't work for everybody doesn't mean there aren't other ways to save money and save the environment when you're on your period and you're looking for different options.
All right, that's a wrap. If you have any comments or questions, just drop them down below and we will get to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the other videos on our channel. Hope you have a lovely day. Bye!